Hey, it's Chelsea. Welcome back to another episode of the Truelane Yarn podcast. Truelane Knits, perhaps we should call it. My podcast has been unnamed so far, but my YouTube URL is now Truelane Knits. So I'm wondering if we need to name it. Is this the Truelane Knits podcast? It doesn't quite have a ring to it. It is what it is. It has been probably 3 weeks since I last recorded, maybe coming up on a month. Maybe it has been a month. I have no real sense of time. We have a lot of catching up to do. Today is September 22nd. It's the first day of fall. So what a perfect day to be filming with this finished object, my first fall sweater of 2022, which I finished a week and a half ago. So I am a little bit behind on recording, but it has been a wild last couple of weeks. I had my birthday last weekend, which was really fun. My family and I went camping on Camano Island, which is in the Puget Sound near where I live. It was extremely beautiful. It was very relaxing, and I got to take my car out on its first camping trip. I just bought a car this month on September 1st, and I've been having so much fun. Oh, I should have brought I crocheted little car coasters yesterday. I've been looking up so I bought this car from my neighbors, and I've been trying to think of ways to personalize it so it doesn't feel like a car that I've seen for the last 15 years of my life driving around our neighborhood. And while I've been researching how to easy ways to personalize cars and minimalist ways, because I don't want to be over the top. Apparently car coasters are a big thing. They're either ceramic or silicone or whatever, and you put them in the little cup holders so that, they get so grimy and I don't know. You know how car cup holders work. And I saw a bunch of people crocheted them. And so I was like, I have a bunch of cotton yarn laying around, let me do that too. So I crocheted these really cute car coasters that I put in my car. Maybe I'll put it in a picture if I think of it. Where was I going with this? Anyway, so we had a great camping trip. My birthday was really fun, and it was exactly what I needed. If you can't tell, it's pretty cloudy today, so the sun will definitely be coming in and out as I'm filming, but no big deal. We'll just work around it. I think that's enough of an intro, so I can get started on my finished objects, of which there is one. Oh, that's right, I did finish my brother's socks, but I don't have them with me. Maybe I should go grab them. Anyway, let's kick it off with my first fall knit of 2022. So this is sweater number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I think in my podcast I had just some of the body done. Or perhaps I had just split for sleeves, but the rest of it went so quickly. This is knit in Olivia and Oliver Fibers Merino worsted base in the color Eggnog, and I held it together with my favorite lace weight yarn, which is Fyberspates Cumulus, which is a Surrey alpaca in the color Natural. So I showed the colors in my last podcast. You can see together they worked up this amazing fabric that is so soft and so just drapey and velvety feeling, and it just feels so good. I'm so excited about it. This sweater, this is Truelane in a sweater. If I had to design a sweater, it would be this. It's a perfect neutral. It's almost just a little bit of an elevated look because I think of the ribbing pattern. I am completely obsessed with this knit to purl one pattern. I think especially on the bottom, I'm wearing leggings today, so it's not like a real outfit, but especially on the bottom, I just feel like it gives such a nice finished, polished, again, elevated kind of look. I might get a little bit warm in this today, considering it's 60 something degrees out, but it's the first day of fall and I'm so happy, so I just had to wear this thing today. And I haven't worn it out yet because it's been so warm, but we'll get there. After my last podcast, this worked up very quickly because, again, it's a worsted weight sweater with the lace, the Surrey alpaca alongside it. I'm not sure if that makes it all the way to a bulky weight. I'm probably of the camp that it's still pretty much a worsted weight sweater, but regardless, I used for the body a 6.5 millimeter needle, and for the ribbing a 4.5 millimeter needle. So I went half a millimeter size down from what the pattern recommended because I did not have size 7 millimeter needles that I needed for the body. I have since purchased some because I found that Luca had interchangeable 7 millimeter knitting needle tips, but I didn't have them in time to start the sweater and didn't know that I could find any size 7s that fit my interchangeable knitting needle sets. If I'm already struggling with words today, we're not off to a great start. So because I went down a needle size, or half a needle size, I can't remember what numbers the millimeters correlate with, I knitted the next size up than I normally would have. So I think it worked out great because this fit is pretty much exactly how I like my sweaters to fit if I were to buy them from the store. Cloudy, sunny, what are we gonna do? So you can see that like my underarm is up here and there's about 2 inches to 3 inches of extra fabric underneath the arm. So it's definitely oversized, not fitted, but again, that's the way I like it. That is the beauty of knitting your own garments. Like, just because the garment is intended to fit a certain way doesn't mean you can't adapt it to your actual taste and how you feel most comfortable. So that's what I did, and my hair is actually hiding the best part of this yoke, which was also the hardest and worst part to do. But here it is. So the yoke has the raglan stitches offset by these purl rows, and you can probably tell like this side was a lot more of a struggle than this side. But it looks good enough for me to wear. Like, I feel comfortable, I feel confident, I think it looks good as a finished object. I think I probably went over this in my last podcast, but it was just impossible to keep the tension. Oh yeah, it was impossible to keep the tension going from the increased stitch to the purl. And someone commented on my last video to knit through the back loop on the increased stitch right before the purl to kind of close up that gap, which is what I ended up doing after I redid the yoke 4 times. But it still wasn't as good as I would have hoped. So I kind of determined that basically I would probably get better at it with time. I'm still a new knitter. This is my 8th month as a knitter. So I feel like with practice and experience, getting even tension, that's something that could probably improve with time. But I did the best I could right now, and I'm very happy with it. As far as I know, I will not knit this pattern again. The yoke was much too labor intensive. I know it's just knits and purls, but I was so stressed doing this for, I think it was like 42 or 48 rows or something like that. It was just too much, and having to redo it, wow. So I'm very excited to have this finished object in my wardrobe. I feel like I will wear it so much this fall. Again, it's so soft and it is quite drapey. I was really happy with the fit before I blocked it. So immediately after I finished it, I tried it on and I was like, this is perfect. So while I was blocking it, I was extremely careful not to stretch it or let the arms drag out, or when I was laying it out, I was very careful not to like do any spreading. I literally just, I even tried to like nudge it in a little bit because I didn't want the fit to change at all, and it worked out pretty well. It's definitely a little bit roomier than it was right after I finished it, but again, I'm super happy with the fit, and as soon as it gets colder, I know I'll wear this all the time. The bind off is a standard bind off. I feel like I've only done tubular bind off on my sweaters so far because they were all 1x1 rib, and I think that's kind of the standard. This one called for a regular bind off. There you are. I just made sure to do it very loosely. So this is the maximum that it stretches, which is plenty hi son, to get my hands through. For the cast on, because it started on the neck, I did do the old Norwegian cast on, which is my favorite cast on. I do it pretty much all the time. So I have plenty of room to get it over my head. The body also, I just did the bind off very loosely, and before I cut the yarn, I made sure to try it on. Make sure I could get over my head, get my arms through before I cut the yarn in case I had to redo it. Because if you've been here before, you know that I've had to redo tight bind offs before with mohair. It's so bright, wow. And it is not a walk in the park. This is definitely the most, I mean, I guess like professional would be the word, the best looking sweater I've made so far. Absolutely, like I would buy this at a store, but it's even better because I made it. So I'm super happy, yeah, with how fast this worked up. I was thinking about, this was originally going to be my birthday cast on, so I was gonna cast it on September 16th, and I ended up finishing it the Sunday before. I'm very excited to show you the next sweater I cast on immediately after I finish this one, but I wonder if I should go get my brother's socks, because that's my other finished object. I feel like I should. Let me go grab them. So my second finished object are my brother's birthday Ninja Turtle socks, which I think turned out so cute. These were knit with a very special yarn that I found on Etsy that was called, it's a Ninja Turtles yarn, it's called Cowabunga by Lulu Yarn Co. I'll link it below, but it's so cute, and I decided to do different colored accent toes and cuffs to represent all of the turtles. I couldn't tell you who's who because I myself am not a fan, but I know about it, so that's all that matters. This is my usual crazy sock lady vanilla socks. For my brother, I made the medium size on 2.5 millimeter needles. I'm really struggling with socks for men because I think the large size was a little too large for my other brother, and I think the medium's a little too small for this brother, but they look large. And like the 2.5 millimeter needle I feel adds so much stretch as opposed to my socks. I do the 2.25 millimeter needles. They definitely fit him and he's been wearing them, so that's good. But like when I watch him put them on, they're like pretty tense over the like right here, like the widest part of your ankle, and like, I guess it'd be here when you're like trying to put it over your heel and your ankle at the same time. It's like, so I'm still working on the fit of my men's socks, but he loves them and that's what matters. I finished them the night before his birthday and set a fan on them all night, and they were dry by the time it was time to unwrap presents, so that was perfect. So that is my second finished object for these last few weeks. That's about it. But since then, I think the reason there's only two is because I went cast on crazy this month. If you've watched my previous episodes, you know I have a big long sweater wish list to make list, queue, something along those lines. So let me just start my whips with the next one that I cast on. I'm pretty sure I cast it on just a couple days before I finished this sweater because I was getting so excited, and I'm really happy with how it's turning out. So this is the Festival Sweater, which is a pattern by PetiteKnit, and I just split for sleeves. Congratulations to me. And this yarn is using Explore Knits' recent Ice Cream Social collection. The main color is called Extra Sprinkles, and the accent color is called Waffle Cone. And I'm calling this my first grown-up sweater because the number of new techniques I've used in this is astounding. Let's start with the beginning. This is my first folded neckband that I've ever done, and it was so enjoyable to knit. So it's one of those where you knit the double length, but in the middle you do a row of purls. And I had the darndest time trying to figure out if you were supposed to fold it with the purl stitches on the outside or fold it with the knit stitches on the outside. But after like zooming in on every single Ravelry photo, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to do the purl stitches on the outside. So that's what I did. Hopefully it's right. But it turned out obviously so squishy because it's double layer, and then I chose to knit together the cast on row and the live stitches. Cloudy and windy. Let's keep going. And it just turned out so satisfyingly wonderful. Directly after the folded neckband, you do German short rows, which I have done German short rows before. I've never done them on a sweater. I guess I would say this is my first time doing German short rows like in a round, because the first time I did German short rows was on a shaped tank top, the Sweetheart ribbed top by Friday Knits. And so it was just after you finish all of it in the round knitting, you just do the shaping on one side, the shaping on the other side, and that's it. This one, you do the German short rows and then like keep going in the round, and I don't know, it was just a new experience. And it went really well. I was very pleased. I remembered how to do them. Before I started, I quickly watched, I think it's Brooklyn Tweed's German short rows tutorial, which is my favorite one, just to get a little refresher and make sure I was on the right track. And after I read that, or watched that, I was off to the races. I didn't have to like look anything up while I was doing it. It just flowed. I was so excited. I only had one issue, and I'm not sure. Oh, you know what? I wasn't sure if it was because of the German short rows or the folding neckband words, or the folding of the neckband, the knitting the two rows together. I hope you know what I meant, because I can't try and fix that. I got through it once. I'm not going to go through it again. But now I realize my little mistake is in the front, so it was definitely, I think, the knitting two together. But if you can see right here, there's a little bit of an awkward guy here. And it's awkward on the back too. Where is it? Right here. This kind of little bumpy dude. I noticed about 4 rows in, I just had a loop at the base of the neckline just hanging out. So I think I must have missed it while I was knitting the live stitches and the cast on edge together. Because it was just hanging out, not attached to anything, not integrated with anything, and there was nothing to pick up. So I had a little bit of a time trying to secure that loop, and I'm still not even really sure what happened, but what's important is that it's secure and it will not unravel, and it's pretty minimal. It's pretty minimal of an upset. Like, I don't think anyone's really going to be able to point it out. And then we've got the bobbles, which is not something I've ever done before. And after I did this first row of bobbles, I felt like I deserved a medal. It was, I don't know if I'm a tight knitter, but knitting 3 together through the back loop, not for the faint of heart. The sweater's going to be more of an endeavor than I first anticipated. I thought it would be a little, what's the word, tedious, but I think it will be a bit more tedious than I anticipated. But I'm so happy with how it's coming together. I'm doing a little bit of blended sizing here. I have started casting on the second size. My measurements are fully within the first size of most petite knit patterns, but I think just depending on the style of the sweater, I'm becoming a little more concerned about how they fit. And this one I wanted to be comfortable, not form-fitting at all, but comfortable. So I am knitting the second size, but I went, like, the yoke measurement, I was pretty much ready to split for sleeves once I got to the first size yoke measurement. I did that. I've tried it on a couple times and I think it's working out well. So we'll kind of see. I like the having room around the body. I think I like more positive ease than most people probably. And in terms of the way things sit or hang, like, I don't think Like this sweater will not have as much room here as this one does. So I think it's going well. I'm glad I'm trying it on as I go. My only real concern is the amount of yarn that I have. So I actually scrolled all the way back to PetiteKnit's Instagram when this sweater was released, and she used 400 grams of the main color and 100 grams of the accent color in an extra small. And I have 400 grams of the main color for a small. So most of my sweaters so far, maybe half of my sweaters so far, have used much less of the yarn than required, but I'm getting a little nervous about this one. So this is like 1 and maybe a half skeins. Would you say this is half of this? Maybe not quite. This is 1 full skein that I have not touched yet. It's really hard to estimate because I've been doing helical knitting. So I think in the middle of here, I added in the second skein. I didn't think I'd be alternating skeins for so long because I just did that to introduce the second one, but it ended up like I was like alternating skeins for a long time, and I don't really want to do that. But it's been really interesting because like I feel like all of my extra sprinkles skeins are vastly different. Like I don't know if you can tell in the second band here, there's barely any of the confetti colors, and like back here there's so much confetti, or sprinkles, I guess. There's so many sprinkles. So I am really like, maybe I should have started alternating earlier because I'm pretty sure this band is just all the first skein. So I think it'll be fine. Like, who's gonna notice once it's all done? Maybe there will be other areas that are less speckly than the other ones, but it's interesting to notice. This yarn is also like working up. I could not tell when I ordered this yarn what it would look like worked up because there's so many neutral shades. There's yellow, there's beige, there's white, and I just couldn't tell where they would go. I don't know if I mentioned I'm using her Rockies DK base, and I'm really enjoying it. But I'm so excited about how this is working up. I think it's a great combo. I'm really glad I committed to this purchase because I was on the fence about spending the money, and seeing this worked up now, I feel like it is so worth it. It's kind of funny having like 2 different neutral speckled sweaters worked up back to back, but they're such completely different styles, and it's just been a blast knitting this up. So yeah, I'm done with my 1, 2, 3, 4th round of the bobbles. So I think my plan in terms of hopefully not a game of yarn chicken is just to knit the body to where I want it, and then if need be, do like a half sleeve type sweater. I'm also hoping to get a lot of this done before the weekend because Explore Knits is having a shop update on Sunday, and there's 1 skein of extra sprinkles in Rockies DK and 1 skein of Waffle Cone Rockies DK that I'm like, maybe I should get as backup. But it's like an extremely slim chance that I would actually end up with the yarn in my cart able to check out all the way. So that's where we are with this sweater. I'm absolutely loving it, and even though it is a bit more tedious than I thought, I'm really happy I was already able to split for sleeves. Like, it's going. I've been working on this pretty religiously. I am really excited to add this into my wardrobe. So that is my first work in progress for this episode, and it's the first of many. So buckle up. Always do. My second work in progress is going to be this. Speaking of the Sweetheart rib top that I just mentioned for my short rows, I've started another one. This is also Fyberspates yarn. It is their Vivacious 4-ply base, and I'm using the color Gecko, which is such a fun green. I'm actually seeing some variance between these 2 skeins, holding them up to the camera. They're actually from the same dye lot, despite one being from England and one being from Connecticut. I purchased one of them while I was in Connecticut on vacation, and then I liked it so much I ordered a second skein from Wool Warehouse. They happen to be from the same dye lot, so that was pretty fun. I cast this on just to have it ready to go when it's its turn to shine, and it's this pattern I really like for just like having a movie project when that's not a hat or a scarf, sock, because it's just 2x2 rib forever, like for 20 inches. That's about as mindless as it gets. So you can see I've only done about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows. This color is working up so beautifully, and I liked the Sweetheart rib top so much that I'm already, I made one this spring and I'm already making another one this year. Again, there's not much progress on it, but I think my family and I have a date to watch Thor: Love and Thunder this weekend, so maybe I'll get a couple more rows done there. This is just the 2 fingering weight yarns held together, and I'm really excited to see this color worked up. I think there's going to be a lot of nice, this color just has so much depth to it, and I'm really excited to have a camisole in this color because I wore my Sweetheart rib top so much this summer, and so I'm excited to have another one. I'm really gonna have to work on untangling this after filming, but so I cast that one on the same day that I cast on my next whip, which is also a repeat pattern. It's a pattern I've already made before, and it is the Hipster beanie by PetiteKnit, but this time I'm making a child size. I'm knitting this up for my nephew, and we're almost there. It needs a couple of more inches until I start to do the crown. This yarn that I'm using is from the brand Yarn Bee, and it is their Must Be Merino base, which is a merino acrylic blend. It is 50% merino, 25% acrylic, and 25% nylon. Really soft and really durable. I wanted something that could be easily machine washed and cared for by my sister because my nephew is 4 and, gets into things. And this is actually the yarn I found out I used when I made my last Sophie scarf. I had a yarn scrap in, I think the colorway was called Linen, which is what I made my first Sophie scarf out of. It felt so good. It's so soft. Even after blocking, this blend it feels amazing. And so I do recommend it if you're looking for a durable and budget-friendly yarn. The only thing is that it's incredibly splitty, and I've been using, my Knit Picks needles are extremely pointy and have a long taper, so I initially thought that was better for splitty yarns, but now I'm wondering if a duller tip, like my Luca needles are definitely not as sharp or pointy as my Knit Picks needles, so I'm actually wondering if a duller needle tip going into a splitty yarn might catch more of it instead of the pointier needle charging through. I don't know, but I just have to be very watchful when I'm knitting this up. But we are getting there. This is in the color Clay, and it's turning out so cute. I'm so excited to give my nephew something that I've made because he loves watching me knit. He always has so many questions about my knitting and when he's gonna get something and when he's gonna get to learn how to knit, and so I think it will be really special for him to have this beanie, and I just love the color. I'm actually going to be making a beanie for my niece as well in this color, blue teal, of the same yarn, and I have planned to do the Manhattan hat in a little child size, which is a Tori Knits NYC pattern. This is so cute little child beanie. So I cast that on the same day, and I've been working on this quite a bit too. So once I get to the crown, it will be, I don't know, an hour or 2 left. So I can't wait to, I was gonna say drop this in the mail, but I will probably just bring it. I'm going to Minneapolis next month in October for my niece's birthday, so maybe I will be able to hand deliver it. My next whip is another really fun one. It's a whip and an acquisition all in one, 2 for the price of 1, and it is for Shop La Mercerie's Life Knit Aquatic Knit Along. It's my first knit along. I haven't posted very much about it yet, but it's fun to be a part of anyway. So I'm knitting Purl Soho's, what even is the pattern called? It's just their standard 1x1 rib beanie. It might just be called ribbed beanie, but everyone's doing it in red as a reference to the movie Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, which is an exactly fine movie. I'm not a huge Wes Anderson fan. Like, I appreciate it and I acknowledge that they're very beautiful. His humor's a little too icky for me. I don't know. It's just a little too like twisted for me. I'm such a lightweight. Anyway, that movie kind of spooked me a little bit, but please don't judge me. I'm a lightweight. I watch mostly romance, so. But I did like the costumes in Life Aquatic, so there you go. I'm using Hedgehog Fibers Merino DK, which is this perfect, bright, saturated red. It's in the color Sin. I'm knitting, I think it's 2 needle sizes up from what the pattern suggests. So the pattern calls for a 3.25 millimeter needle. I'm using 3.75, mostly because my 3.5s are on this guy. And I figured it'd be fine. I didn't want to buy another new set of needles. So I'm doing the adult small instead of the adult medium. I have kind of a big head. And I think it will be just fine. I really like, you know, the fabric's pretty squishy, and I think it will be a good fit. So I feel like I've been working on this a lot and I'm only this far, so it will work up a little faster than if I was using size 3 needles. I really want to go to one of their knitting meetups at the store. Shopla Mercery is actually local to me in Seattle, and so I feel like if I go and sit for a couple hours, I could probably knock through a lot more of this. But I'm excited to have the hat. Like I said, it's my first knit along, and it's going through November 5th, so anyone can join, any red yarn at all. Just knit up a red beanie and we'll all be in the Life Knitquatic club together. I think it's such a cute name, Life Knitquatic, and like I said, I've never done a knit along before, so it feels fun to be involved in the community in a new way, right? After I started making this, my dad asked me what I was making, and I was like, I'm making a Steve Zissou beanie, and he was like, what? I want one. Because he loves Wes Anderson and he loves Life Aquatic. My dad was a big Jacques Cousteau fan when he was younger, which is what Steve Zissou is like inspired by. And I think my dad actually wrote to Jacques Cousteau. Maybe I'm making that up, but I feel like my dad wrote to Jacques Cousteau and maybe got a letter back. Dad, am I making that up? Sorry if I am. Anyway, so this beanie has been really fun to knit, and it's kind of wild having 2 beanies on my needles, but one is child size and one is for me. So I try to stagger my projects a little bit. So like, you know, my festival sweater is the big one. This one will be done soon. I'll have the red beanie to work on right after that. If I need a mindless project, I can work on the Sweetheart rib top. Like, it all makes sense in my mind. I do have sort of another new cast on. This was just a project I cast on my birthday camping trip next to the fire because I didn't want any of my nicer projects to get smoky, to get campfire smoke on them. So I just cast on another Sophie scarf. It is like the bare beginnings. It's at little, you know, pennant status. So, but I'm using that Yarn Bee. I got a few more colors of that Yarn Bee. Must be Merino yarn because I liked the feel of that Sophie scarf so much. So I should mention the yarn I'm using for my niece and nephew's hats is the Must Be Merino Aran weight yarn, which I would initially disagree with, but it does feel like an Aran weight. And then this one is the Must Be Merino DK weight yarn. So this color, I already threw away the label. I'm sorry, I'll look it up. But it's this lovely light sage minty sea green color. If that works, if you'll allow me that. And I just think it's going to be very cute. As you can see, with the Sophie scarves, I don't even add the cable to my interchangeable tips. I just swap it back and forth because it literally takes like an inch or 2 of space. And I just find it's easier for me to whip through it if I'm not trying to arrange the cable any certain way. I've tried to have the Sophie scarf be a movie watching project for me. but it's just not. Because you're counting rows so often, I always mess up. So this has to be like a I'm really bored and need something to focus on and want it to be done quickly. So like I said, I cast this on our camping trip. I haven't really paid attention to it since because I've been working on my festival sweater so much, but you know, it's here. It is technically a whip. This is another one of the colors that I got to make a Sophie scarf out of. This is the color Tobacco, and this yarn is just so soft and squishy, especially for being such an accessible price point. My next whip is an old one, but it's been getting a little more love lately because I finished up my brother's Ninja Turtle socks. So this is a sock I started 4 months ago, and it is in Olivia and Oliver Fibers Pixie Dust. It has a 2x2 rib cuff, which I love, in the color Desert Rose. And for the longest time it was here until a couple of weeks ago I started cranking through the leg and finished up the heel. So I'm now working on the gusset, and once the gusset decreases are done, it will be smooth sailing. This is still only the first sock, but I'm glad I finally picked it back up again because I have so many sock sets to work through, so many wonderful fall colors, and this was supposed to be my Easter pair of socks. So you can see how behind I am, but I got sock caught up. I got so caught up in birthday sock knitting for my family this year that my own socks kind of fell by the wayside once birthday season kicked up. I knit myself like maybe 4 pairs of socks or 5 before my family's birthday starts on May 23rd, and then they just all go in a row. So the next pair of birthday socks I have to knit is in November, which I will probably get started on maybe next month. So this one, I just wanted to document that I've made some progress, and we're in good shape to finish these by the end of the year, I would say. My 2022 year-long socks. Alright, so that is all of my projects at this time, but I do have one really exciting swatch to show, which is in preparation for my next sweater. So I think in my last podcast I got my Crowd Pleaser pre-order in the mail, which was a color from the Kinetic Knitter in Minneapolis, and I just wanted to, let me just first share that I caked up this yarn, and wow, it is so pretty in a cake. I could not at all imagine how, once I unwound the skein, I couldn't imagine how it would look knit up. I couldn't imagine how it would look in the cake form. I just had no visual for what same with the extra sprinkles. I just couldn't visualize how this would look. But I'm so excited with how it looks in cake form. After I wound it up, I just stared at it for like a good 8 minutes because it was so cute. But I did swatch it. This is the yarn I'm going to be holding it with, which is Filcolana Peruvian Highland Wool in the color Marzipan, which is the recommended yarn for PetiteKnit's Wednesday sweater, and it feels so good. I'm so excited to use this. But together with the Crowd Pleaser in this swatch, oh my gosh, wait, okay. So I only made a small one and then stopped knitting, but wow. This is going to be so pretty. It literally looks like watercolors, and there's so many great fall shades in here. This is going to be so fun to work on. And what size needle is this? Size 5, so it'll be a satisfying knit, I feel like. I'm really impressed by and surprised and impressed by. I'm surprised and impressed by how delicate the colors have worked up together. Like, there is, I don't have one unwound anymore, but half of the Crowd Pleaser is like a light neutral base with lots of speckles, And then half of the crowd pleaser is like large chunks of green and orange and light pinky purple. And just, it makes for like larger speckled chunks and then just like delicate, I don't know. I could go on about this swatch forever, but I was so pleased with how this worked out together with these two yarns. It's going to be such a magical project. Like it's making magic with yarn. It's magic with yarn. I would apologize for nerding out, but I know that you guys understand. So here we are. So that is what I worked up for my Wednesday sweater, which is what will be cast on. Not quite when the festival sweater's done, but when my festival sweater is probably like 90% done, I will cast this one on. And I was about to cast it on, but it's a sweater that will be new construction for me. It has, you do the neckband after, at the end, I think. So you just cast on like this wide neckline and then do short rows, and then I'm actually not 100% sure, but once I started reading about it, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna cast that on right now. But yeah, after my festival sweater and doing those new techniques, again, I'm starting to feel like, oh yeah, okay, I can figure this out, I can do this. So that's kind of fits into plans. I wonder, do I have other plans besides my sweaters? I did wind up my La Bien Aimée confetti Cory worsted yarn, which is this gray and tweed, to make a beanie out of. I think I had in mind to make another Manhattan hat, but I'm not sure. I might want this to be in a 2x2 rib. And so I have that wound up ready to go. And then, oh, I'm feeling a little bit re-inspired to pull out my Rubus blouse, which I put on hold a couple of episodes ago, I think. But that one it's a Knitting for Olive mohair kind of square neck short sleeve blouse that I cast on and got a little intimidated by, but now I'm kind of feeling like I want to pick that back up. I guess my plan is kind of festival sweater, the two beanies, the socks. Can I finish those socks this month? Probably not. And then the Sweetheart rib top, the green one, in Gecko, that one, there's no rush there. So I don't know. Let's go into acquisitions. I'm getting overwhelmed. I did get some really exciting yarn mail recently. First of all, for my birthday, so let me just show that. My sweet friend Emily sent me a few skeins of extra special yarn, which I'm very grateful for. The first one is from Duluth, Minnesota, which is Minnesota's like my second home, so it was really fun to get yarn from there. It's from a farm called Frosty Ridge Alpacas, and it's hand-dyed alpaca yarn in the color gold ochre, 100% pure homegrown alpaca. It actually names the alpaca that the yarn came from. His name is Cyrus. So I have no idea what to make with this, but it's so beautiful, and obviously it's Soho soft. And I think this was a sport weight. Yep, 3-ply sport weight, 200 yards each. So I have a good amount to work with. So if you have any ideas for a 100% alpaca sport weight pattern, let me know. That was really sweet. And then on another trip, because she got that in Duluth, she just went to Finland and Copenhagen for her birthday and got me this Finnish yarn, which is called Vuonju Pentti Kampalanka. There you go. This is I don't know what Suomalainen Lappenvilla is, but it's 70% that and 30% tencel. It's a DK weight yarn with 240 meters. And it's in this beautiful neutral grayish color. It looks mostly gray on camera, but it seemed like there's a little bit of tan in it, but maybe it's just gray. But it has a very interesting feel to it. I feel like the word I can't pronounce must be a kind of wool. Suomalainen Lappenvilla. Maybe I'll put it in the comments once I look up what this actually is. But it has a very interesting rustic feel, and I don't know what to make with this. Maybe this would make a nice hat, but it feels good. And my friend was so sweet. She asked the yarn person, like what's the yarn you can pretty much only get in Finland, and she was directed to this. So fun to have some yarn directly from another country in my stash. Another thing I got, speaking of La Mercerie, is their, I believe this was the September or maybe August Year of Socks sock set by Sunday Fiber Co., who is one of my absolute #1 favorite dyers. She is incredibly talented, and when I saw this colorway in dried flowers, I had to have it. It's extremely beautiful. I have no words. It's a very autumnal feeling. It has a lot of neutrals, a little bit of like oranges and pinks and rusts and maroons, just like a bouquet of dried flowers. Like, it's just, I love it. The mini colorway is called Patina. So these two, like, should I knit this up next? Like all my other sock sets I've bought this year. This one is kind of taking priority right now. So hers, again, is Eco Superwash. So it's a 80% organic merino wool and 20% nylon Eco Superwash sock base. And I don't think I've used my other one of hers yet. So I don't have any experience to share, but this is Dried Flowers by Sunday Fiber Co. And I'm really glad about that. The next thing I got is my Paisley Knits pre-order, also from 4 months ago, that I ordered in April and finally came. So I got the set of tonals in her mohair base. Here we are. So this is the full tonal collection, full Japan collection tonals, full set of Japan collection tonals. There we go. So we have Sakura is the pink, I believe Shibuya is the gray, Matcha is the green, Backpack is the yellow, and then Tetsudo is the purple. And what a joy to see these colors in real life. I'm a huge Paisley Knits fan. She lives in Vancouver, which is not too far from me. I know this collection has been such a learning process for her, and I'm just like, I'm weirdly proud of her for getting it all done, and seeing her yarn in person just makes me feel like, I just hope that she feels that all of her efforts were worth it, because I know there were some struggles with like missing yarn, broken dye, and I'm just so excited that she was able to pull this collection off and everyone's got their yarn now, and it was absolutely worth the wait. Like, these colors are just so luscious, and I cannot wait to knit up the sorbet tea pattern, but I will wait because this feels like more of a spring palette. So I'll probably plan on casting this on next spring, and until then just enjoy looking at the pure beauty on my yarn shelf. Most of that came in one mail day, which is really exciting. And then I got my September Long Dog Yarn Lord of the Rings Club really early, so if you haven't gotten yours yet, stop watching. I was so excited for this month because the colorway inspiration was Gondor, which is like, gets me right here. So the colorway is called The Deep Breath Before the Plunge. And it is this amazing neutral with green. There's actually like some purple shading in this neutral, and it's just gorgeous. So this is probably one of my favorite Lord of the Rings colorways so far. I would knit literally a sweater out of this if I could. And I'm just getting really pumped for all of her Lord of the Rings colorways to come out next year as a pre-order, so you can get whatever amount you want of anything. But this club has just been so much fun. And my family and I have been watching the new Rings of Power Amazon TV show, and it's fine. I really miss all the Lord of the Rings characters, but it's really fun to see young Elrond and young Galadriel in a different era of their lives. The screenwriting I have some issues with. Our family already has a huge joke of bind yourself to me. Anyway, it's been fun to watch and revisit the world of Middle Earth, but you know, it's not Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. That is the September Lord of the Rings colorway, and I think that's all. I think I've chatted through everything I need to chat through. My plans, I'll plan to check in a couple of weeks and basically see what I've cast on and what projects I've gotten hopefully completed. What would be the finished objects I would expect to have in my next episode? Maybe the festival sweater? Is there a chance that could be finished in a couple weeks? Is that really ambitious? I don't know. My nephew's hat, maybe my Steve's Issue hat. I think that's an okay expectation to have finished, but my festival sweater might take, it might go into October. My next episode will probably be in October, but it might take more of October. Anyway, you know, there's no harm in being ambitious. I think that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching and catching up with me. I hope you had a great time knitting on whatever you're knitting on, or crocheting on, crafting on, or if you just sat and watched me talk, that's okay too. I know that's what my parents do, so they're so sweet. I would love to hear what you guys are working on. I'm always looking for new pattern inspiration, projects to do with my stash yarn, which we are coming up to the end of 2022. It's September's almost over, so it's like October, November, December. That's it. I'm so looking forward to doing a video of everything I knit in 2022. It's going to be so fun to revisit. That might be a December video. I think that would make the most sense. But I'm also getting really excited for 2023 planning. If you enjoyed watching this video, please feel free to subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.